I never killed myself or my navigator. Never had to drop a bomb or shoot the gun in anger at anybody. In other words, I never went to war. That's all good, but you train your whole career for something like that. And like what was going on over in the Gulf in '91, that situation over there, you train your whole career, and I'm not over there. I had a job to do where I was at in Hawaii. So while they were playing in their sand in Saudi Arabia, I was playing in mine, golfing. And like I said, I had a job to do where I was at, and I know the family preferred to have me where I was at. But I felt kind of bad because I knew friends, people I was acquainted with over there flying combat. But it all worked out. Long ago, when they had sailing ships with masts and sails, sometimes going through the weather, the ship would pick up static electricity and the masts would glow like a green, a glow to it. That happens to airplanes. Rarely, but I've seen it about 3 different times. And not many people know what that is. St. Elmo's fire is a luminous blue or violet plasma discharge that appears on sharp pointed objects like ship masts, aircraft wings, or lightning rods during intense electrical weather. It occurs when a strong atmospheric electric field, usually from a nearby thunderstorm, ionizes the air, often producing a humming or hissing sound. Like I said, it looked kind of green, but blue-green, and it would form on the canopy in the 111. And you remember the ball downstairs that Eye of the Storm that we were touching? Sort of like that, except it's all over the canopy, and you touch it and you're not getting shocked or anything. But the static discharge is not being dissipated through the static dischargers. Maybe I might have been missing a few, 1 or 2. There are things that point out from the trailing edge of the wings and the stabilizer and the rudder and stuff. And so this static electricity kind of builds up around the airplane. It doesn't last very long. Get out of the conditions, it disappears. Yeah, you can run into turbulence just like in an airliner or a private pilot, small airplane. There's something called CAT, clear air turbulence. Can't see anything, but all of a sudden, plane's just shaking up and down. And you'll get a NOTAM perhaps if somebody has reported it. Clear air turbulence up 20 miles from point A or something like that. Whenever I let down going into Colorado, crossing over the Rocky Mountains, and then you get the mountains, and then Denver sitting here and the mountains stop, and then it's just plains. So as you're going over the mountains, a lot of turbulence, and then once you clear the mountains, it smooths out. But that could occur anywhere. I mean, even going, I think it was in Winnemucca, Nevada. Every time I went into there, there's just a lot of turbulence from the mountains, and then I get close to the airfield and smooth out. So I just make sure, hey, everybody behind me, you better be fastened into your seat with that seatbelt so you're not being thrown around. But it happens on airliners too. People will get up, move around, sit back down, they don't put the belts back on, and they run into clear turbulence or some type of turbulence, and even jet wash or something, and then they go flying, oh, I'm injured, my head hit on the ceiling or something. Yeah, whenever I'm a passenger in a plane, that belt is on unless I have to go to the restroom or something, or to do something, but as soon as I sit down, it's back on.
What's your favorite thing from the Top Gun Maverick movie?
I really did it. That was pretend. I really did things like that, but even though Tom Cruise can fly, he's got his own jet and stuff. I don't think, from my understanding, they wouldn't let him fly the planes, the F-18 and I think the Tomcat, F-14. I don't know if he really flew it, but he does have his own P-51, and I think he's got a jet of some sort. I thought the movies were really good. I like the sound, especially if you're in a really good theater with good speakers, and it starts vibrating your seat, and inside you can just feel that's like it is in real life. The near a jet engine, you can just feel it through the body. That's always neat. So the sound, I think they did a really good job on both movies. But yeah, I really did things like that.
Wow.
And it was fun.
Did you ever have any controversy with being a fighter pilot to a commercial pilot or somebody who worked for the airline?
No. I never really associated it with trash haulers.
Trash hauler. So you're gonna call me a trash hauler then if I become a pilot?
Well, it depends on what you're flying, I guess. No, we as fighter pilots think we are the elite. Right or wrong, we think our flying capabilities are a lot better than a trash hauler's. They just go straight and level, take off, straight level, land. If they got passengers on board, okay, goodbye passengers. If they're hauling trash, cargo, they're still straight and level. They can't do any aileron rolls or loops or go supersonic or go down 200 feet and scoot along at 8 miles a minute or faster. Or got a good friend up in Fielding. He was a tanker pilot, and nothing against those guys that did those things. You got to have them as well. And we just talk trash about them. A lot in jest, but we're all pilots, and we consider ourselves all brothers. But yeah, he flew tankers, and he was just telling me that the only time he was in Hawaii, he had to go get a tanker or switch one out in Hawaii and take it back. Or one time they were going to take a bunch of fighters with them. The fighters have to get airborne first, and then the tanker gets airborne. In case the fighters don't get airborne, the tankers then, well, we can't do this mission, it's scrubbed, so they have to just burn off a lot of fuel. And he says that happened to him once in Hawaii, and then they put him up in a hotel someplace. He didn't say where, but it was always neat to do air refueling. I always called it a white knuckle ride. Always flew with gloves on, Nomex gloves in case of a fire. But if you could see your hands, when you squeeze that stick, your hand's probably gonna go white because you got a death grip on it. when you're close to another airplane and trying to take fuel and maintain positions. The first times you do that, like, I gotta hold my position and your hands are squeezing the stick and the other's squeezing the throttle, and just full of adrenaline. But after you do it a bit, okay, and then you don't have that death grip on there. But new guys, relax, take a deep breath. But that's what happened to that tanker in Iraq about a month and a half ago. A month and a half ago. I think they were refueling somebody, and one of the jets must have hit that tanker. Tanker went down and killed everybody on board. And I don't know if they were refueling. Nobody would have shot him down, I don't think, because they were in Iraq, which is north of Iran, but I don't think there was any activity, military activity, war type stuff going on.
What's the difference in airplane control from a private pilot, commercial pilot, to a fighter pilot with jets and commercial liners? What's the difference in plane control?
Nothing.
Joystick or steering wheel, or like, don't they have like a, whatever they call that?
Light airplane, got a yoke. Trash haulers, tankers, cargo, they've got a yoke. Maybe the new one, the C-17 might be a stick. Fighters have a stick. The older fighters had the stick between the legs and the throttle on the left. The F-16 had the stick on the right side, and it didn't move very much, just kind of pressure. But the one here, you move it around a bit. Airlines, it's a yoke. Looks like a steering wheel, or half of a steering wheel. So that's the difference between them. Maybe the newer airlines, maybe an Airbus, I haven't been in the cockpit, they might have a stick also now. I don't know. But they fly the same. You pull back, the nose goes up, you push down, the nose goes down, you turn right pressure, plane turns right or left. Throttle, just like in a car, push it forward, go faster, bring it back, go a little slower. All the mechanics for flying are about the same with everything. The speed is different. So the faster you go, the further ahead you got to be thinking. Way out there, not 100 feet, but if you're in a jet, you might be thinking 5-10 miles out in front of you, further. Think along the lines that a normal low-level route that we fly, just basic, is we plan it for 480 knots ground speed. So how fast is that? That's 8 miles a minute. 30 seconds, 4 miles. So you in your car, you might be looking 100 feet in front, maybe 500 feet in front. But in a jet going a lot faster, you gotta be thinking miles out in front, because it's only gonna take a few seconds to get there. So 8 miles a minute, 30 seconds, that's 4 miles. How long does it take you to drive a mile in a car? At 60 miles an hour, it's 1 minute. But we can do 4 miles in 30 seconds, and that's going slow. So you gotta really be thinking way out in front and not just thinking of the nose of the airplane or even 100 feet out. That's way too close, because you're going to be there in about 2 seconds, and what's your reaction time in a car? You know, how far behind do you trail a vehicle in front of you. A lot depends on your speed. If you're going 25 miles an hour, you can probably be a little closer. But if you're doing 80 miles down the freeway, you should have a lot better gap between you and the lead vehicle. I don't know what you like to hold, but you gotta have reaction time. If he slams on his brakes, you gotta be able to react. Take your foot off the gas pedal and put it on the brake. And that may take a second or two. How far do you go in 1 second if you're doing 80 miles an hour? But first you gotta register it. Oh, I see some red lights. Is he stopping? Oh, I'll get my foot off the accelerator. Maybe I better put it on the brake. It seems pretty quick, but it's just a few seconds. And if you don't have enough space, you run into them. So same thing with airplanes. The single engine prop plane, they might be doing 140 knots or something like that. Still got to think way out in ahead. How far out do I need to make a radio call as I'm coming up to the airport or doing a visual approach? In the jets, there are certain places you need to, or in the Air Force, certain places you need to make radio calls. Entering downwind, coming up initial, left so-and-so base turn to final, and they're talking to you too, but yeah, I mean, you can't be stuttering and wondering, well, so when I first started flying, it was mental trying to think further out, and then Brenda would help me with that. The different radio calls that you have to make to let tower or others know where you're at in a pattern. And then, and it seemed like it's just so quick because you're not thinking that far out. But then after a while, you get used to it. And you go, okay, I'll be there in a moment. So-and-so, left base. Because you are caught up with the airplane now, and or jet or whatever you're in.
What were your
sense?
Mm-hmm. What were your parents' take on you being a pilot? What were their opinions when you told them?
They had the reservations about me being a pilot, thinking danger. Actually, flying is safer than driving a car. There's fewer aircraft accidents than there are automobile accidents. But the premise is, or the thought is that, oh, it's dangerous. One of the things that when it came time to choose the airplane that I was going to be flying out of pilot training and get my wings, there was a list of airplanes that were available, 1 through 48. How many was ever in our class? We got an F4 here, an F4 here, blah, 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 on down. And I really wanted to fly a heavy, be a trash hauler, because I wanted to get out, or learn how to fly a heavy airplane, get out and go with the airlines. That was my initial thought. Well, the trash hauler, the C-141 that I wanted, was frozen in the bottom 10% of the class, and that was to Norton Air Force Base in California, near San Bernardino. That's where I really wanted that airplane. But I was number 10 out of 50 people, or I don't remember how many was in my graduating class. So that was gone, and my good friend, he was the top of the bottom percentage of the class. So he took that 141 to Norton. He ended up getting a divorce, or getting married later on, then he got a divorce, and then he flew for the airlines, and he's retired from the airlines now. There was another 141 that I could have gotten, but it was to McGuire Air Force Base back in New Jersey. I didn't want to go to New Jersey. So, what else is next? Well, I told my parents about the airplanes that were available. They said, whatever you do, don't take an F-111. And that's what I took. Don't take an F-111. I guess they'd heard in Vietnam they'd lost a few. Heck, they lost F-4s also, but didn't know exactly what happened to some of those 111s. Did they get shot down, or was there aircraft failure, a wing come off or something? They flew single ship, so don't really know if they were shot down or what. But anyway, don't take an F-111, whatever you do. And I took an F-111 to Mountain Home Air Force Base, Idaho. And they came out to visit us, and after I told them about it, and they saw them flying around, they says, oh, that seemed like a pretty good airplane. I don't know what their hiccup was concerning that. Don't take a 111. But then they learned to like it. It was a good airplane. Don't take an F-16. Why? You black out. All those G's. No, I don't know if they even knew I got an F-16. If they passed away before then, I don't remember. No, they knew I was ill and stuff. Yeah, they were still alive. F-16, but I have no regrets what I've flown. They're all different. After I left the Air Force, I wasn't used to things spinning around out in front of the airplane, because I've flown jets for so long. They don't have propellers out there, so that was took a little time to get used to. A lot slower. They were still pretty fast airplanes, but not like a jet. But I enjoyed everything I flew. From a T-41, like the Cessna 172 that kid there at the airport was talking about, a Cessna 172. That was a great airplane, a little airplane. Got about 20 hours in that and soloed out and then moved on into the jet. And the T-37 was slower than the T-38. So, you learn to do the things you have to do on a little slower airplane, and then you progress it to something faster, and then you get used to that. Like I said, they can weigh out electrics and hydraulics and things like that. They're different. They're all basically the same, but they're different. Yeah, it wasn't a bad career. Even the crummy jobs I had, it was a learning situation. Provided food and support for the family. Brenda supported me all the time, or every time. Growing situation throughout life.
Being in the Air Force, did it change you as a person?
Did it change what?
Did it change you as a person?
No, I don't think so. I think I was maybe became a little more outgoing. I was kind of shy, bashful a little bit initially in school. But getting to the Air Force, it became a little more outgoing, caring for other people. I'm sure there was some change, but no, my values remained the same. When I first got in the Air Force, a lot of officers smoked and drank. I didn't have a problem with that. We'd go somewhere, TDY, temporary duty, leave the family, go someplace to do an exercise or something, and flying somewhere. And some of the guys, hey, we want to go to the bar. Ficklin, you're a designated driver. Come with us to make sure that they got home safely. And they knew I was LDS. I don't know, that got spread around, and that's okay. You know, I had my faith and principles. So I'd take them to the bar, sip on my Coca-Colas while they drank, and then I'd put them in the car, take them home. Didn't have any accidents or anything like that. A DUI for an officer is a kiss of death for promotion. Probably not gonna be promoted if you get a DUI. So they were smart enough to, hey, we need a designated driver because we will be drinking a little bit. After a while, I'd rather not go to bars. Cigarette smoke and stuff, I hated that. But by the time I retired in the Air Force, very few officers drank and very few smoked. And a lot of enlisted still did those things, but I guess officers starting to get smart about their health. And they probably drank at home or, you know, whatever people do, but they wouldn't get plastered like a person does in going to a bar and getting stupid drunk, or they wouldn't do that, or very few. But like I said, by the time I retired, well, if you saw an officer light up a cigarette, you'd go, what? I mean, it was rare anybody smoked. Even right now, gosh, I haven't seen anybody smoking in a long time. Not many people around here in St. George, I guess, but wherever I've been, even on a trip. When we drove back east, Brenda and I didn't see too many people lighting up. Now, I have seen people doing vaping here, and that's even calmed down. I don't see people doing that like I used to. Seemed like a lot of people would vape. And that was dumb. You know, getting that crap into your lungs. Do you know who John Wayne is? He had lung taken out, and I guess lung cancer. Do you happen to know how old he was when he died?
In his 90s?
He was barely 72.
Wow.
He smoked his whole life. A lot of these movie stars, they smoked and they're dead. Who was it? Patrick Swayze. Do you remember him?
No.
Maybe Patrick Swayze. You remember him?
Never seen him.
You don't know him. He died at a young age. He died of what? 57.
That's young.
Couldn't quit smoking. Couldn't quit smoking, but he got pancreatic cancer is what it says here. But yeah, a lot of these actors, actresses, they smoked and they didn't last all that long. Dumb.